Is it too far away?
I don't know.
How's that? Is that better?
I don't know.
I don't either. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Nothing.
Insignificant.
What the heck was that?
I think Sadie might be making Sebastian lunch.
Sounds like she dropped a knife.
Well, nobody's screaming, so I'm guessing it's fine. It was probably a butter knife.
She managed to cut her foot with a butter knife last week. How do you cut your foot with a butter knife?
You're Sadie.
Anyway, it's Friday.
Yep.
It's been an eventful week. I'll just say that. It's been an eventful week. It's really smoky out today.
Yep.
Gnarly. What?
Nothing. I feel like we should inform them of what happened this week because I'm so...
PSA. When you're a parent, and there's always new things to learn. One of the things that one can learn is that a child between the ages of 0 and about 5 can, if they have a temperature spike because they have an infection or something, they can have a seizure. So Sebastian was feeling terrible. He woke up one day this week and he was super hot to the touch, but we got him cooled down and got some food into him, and then he was super tired and he laid down on the couch, and I was downstairs working and I heard Sadie yell, "Sebastian's shaking."
So then we had to go to the hospital.
He had a grand mal seizure.
He's fine.
He's fine. It's a thing called a febrile seizure. It's something that kids are prone to. It's not indicative of a larger problem. It's just a physiological reaction to a temperature spike. But holy crap, it was scary.
He has strep. He doesn't have corona.
He has strep.
But because this is the land of the free and the home of the brave, just going to the hospital for an hour and a half was $750.
And
even though we have best insurance possible.
We have the best possible insurance. It still costs us $750.
Yep. And I had to sign a form that said I accept surprise billing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let me leave. But I saw a post, I think it was on Tumblr, I don't know, somewhere, or Twitter, and a woman said when you get surprise billing, you call up the hospital and ask for an itemized bill, because they'll charge you like $50 for a Band-Aid. And then they'll take that off, and then you'll have like no bill.
Well, we'll have to do that. Anyway, Sebastian's fine. It was very scary, though. We were driving to the hospital because, of course, if you call an ambulance, even if you have insurance, it costs many thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. And so we drove him.
And we have to go to the farther away hospital because the closer hospital doesn't take our insurance.
It's true. So, but we're driving there, and he's like, "Mommy, why is everything getting dark?" And we're like, "I'm just driving." And I'm like, do I turn left here? Do I turn right here? Do I turn right here? Everything's fine. So sorry for that poor news. I mean, but good news is he's perfectly fine.
He's perfectly fine.
Everything's cool.
Yep.
He's all good.
Yep.
He's all good. We had a surprise from the user Demitz. We talked to him. Anyway, Gus, without asking, sent us one of his watches to review because we've never seen one before, which is the, what do they call these things? The baby turtle? Baby tuna? Baby
turtle.
something? Baby turtle? I've never seen one. My first impression is it was actually really good. I like the balance of the markers. No, my first impression was good. I need to look at the sort of the Omega style semi-twisted lugs on it.
I'm guessing you'll do a review video.
Yeah, I'm going to do a review video of it. No, I think it's neat. Did these come with a bracelet option? I don't know. And what was your first impression?
I like it.
You said if it wasn't blue.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the color blue. No, I'll do an overdue review of this thing. Thank you so much, Demitz. And I also, well, anyway, let's get on. Oh, wait. Okay, wrist check.
Okay, I'm still wearing my baby chi, but I realized I never showed you guys the dancing.
Wait, let me get out of the way.
No, that was worse.
That was worse?
There we go. Right there. Okay, watch where the D is. You turn on the light. And he's like, oh my God. And then he fell off.
And I pulled a rare visitor out of my secure storage. 6159 7001, September 1969. Just, it's the most beautiful, it's the most unique and beautiful case, in my opinion. I mean, there's no other watch that looks like it. And Seiko themselves have never actually done a full correct reissue of this. They've got all the different Marine Master versions that have come out, but not a single one successfully replicates this specific case design with an utterly flat case back and just the smooth lines. But I don't know. We're working on something. Those who know what we're working on know about it, but it's just so beautiful. I just don't wear it. I wish it wasn't worth so darn much, because then I'd wear it more. But again, there might be an answer to that coming up. Anyway, so
I hope you like the little dancing man.
It is cool.
Uh-huh.
I'm super impressed with it. I didn't even know they existed.
Why would you? It's a girl watch.
Not necessarily. I think it's a fine size watch.
I guess.
It's not a girl watch in the same way that the new Volkswagen Beetle was a girl car. That was a girl car. This thing is just a watch that happens to be one that ladies like.
I suppose.
I mean, you could get the new Beetle when they first came out. Stock. One of the options was to have a flower vase.
I desperately wanted one of those cars, but I was like 12, so I couldn't have one.
They're nice enough. If they were rear-engined, I don't know what happened to Volkswagen. They lost their way.
Okay.
Nobody understands their own design heritage.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, no, I'm not going on. Anyway, let's go for it.
Okay.
4 pages today.
Tom N. Baby G. Yeah, that rocks. My girls now grown up just had to have them. At the time, I wasn't into watches, so I thought it was a waste of money, but they were the thing. Now neither wears a watch, and the Baby G's are long gone.
Oh, that's too bad.
About the watch winder, I generally don't use them, but find it's easier for hard-to-set watches when they're off the wrist for a while.
Yeah, you know, I pulled out my Rolex 1500, which is from 1970, and also not a quick set. Rolex didn't get to the quick set till later on. And it's today is the 21st, and the date on the watch is the 31st. And so I can't wear it because I would have to spin it a million times because there's no quick set, which is silly.
Lane Edwards. Hey guys, I hope all is awesome. Spencer, I'm going to make you cringe, but my question is this. On my 6309 7040 that you built serviced for me, can I swim with it? Meaning, do you lube the new seals, or should I have the seals lubed with Anchor silicone grease to it help the water resistance? I am only asking because living in Arizona means we hose down a lot due to the heat. Also, I sent you an email about what I was going to ship you. Thanks, and stay positive.
Doing my best to stay positive. My problem with we as a species are afraid of the unknown. Things that we don't understand frighten us, and when we get frightened, we get angry, and that's kind of how that works. I have a pressure tester. I understand seals and sealing surfaces, but I have in the past, many years ago, I did what I thought would be sufficient work to allow a watch to be waterproof, and it didn't work, and it just frightened the hell out of me, and so I stopped dealing with water resistance at all. I mean, I still have that pressure tester, that Bergion pressure handle wet tester, but I never learned how to properly use it.
Yeah, but I would think that if the seals are bad, you'd flood the watch and then you're screwed.
I've seen watches with, in theory, good seals, and they still can wick moisture inside. But the reason I don't have a handle on it because it terrifies me, the idea of getting water inside a watch, and so rather than master the knowledge and dig into it, I just back away from it, and I cut the whole water question out. Your watch has good seals. It has good sealing surfaces. In theory, it should be fine, but I don't know for sure. I really want to invest in one of the new dry testers. They work not by dunking a watch in water and seeing if when you release the pressure, if bubbles come out. It works by looking at not deformation, it's another word. Basically, it can look at the watch, and when you pop the pressure, it sees if the seals failed, because when seals fail on these pressure testers, you're forcing air into the watch, right? And so when you have it dunked into the water, when you release the pressure, the air can slip out of the places where there are sealing issues. And so in theory, it doesn't get any water inside. That always seemed like hokum to me. But the deflection, maybe it's deflection. These dry testers, they look and see basically if the crystal starts to push out, when you release the pressure, that means if the seals are bad, that means air pressure got in. And then when you release the pressure, the thing can say, "Oh, the crystal's coming out," so you know you have a seal problem. And it also tells you where the leak might be. But I don't know. First things first is find somebody with a decent tester who can test it and give you the answer. That's what I would say. God, maybe I should pull that stupid pressure tester out of the garage and try it again.
I haven't tried it. I mean, it's so old that your dad bought it.
Yeah, no, I know. I haven't. It's been collecting dust for years and years and years. I worked on a watch of my own, a 6139, and I got all these seals for it. I totally cleaned it up. It was all good to go. It was a beautiful watch, and I did the whole thing. I put it into the wet tester hanging up there, and I pumped it up to, I think, because they're only 70 meters, and I pumped it up to, I don't know, like 50 or something, and I left it there for 15 minutes to see if, in theory, everything was okay, and I dropped it in the thing, and I was slowly dropping the pressure, and the crystal forced out, and it popped the bezel on, because they're a pressure fit, and the whole dial, so that the bezel and the crystal came off the watch, so that the dial of the watch was completely open underwater.
Well, no wonder why you're scared to use it.
I couldn't believe it. I ripped the whole watch apart that second. Everything came apart. The watch was perfectly fine. But it was shockingly scary. I don't know. I should try it again. What do I know? I won't learn unless I do it. I just haven't done it.
I don't think you really care to learn it. Otherwise, you would have tried it years ago. What?
I just don't like it. It makes me so nervous putting watches in water.
Then don't do it.
I don't know. I need to get over it.
I was on Imager talking to some person about watches because there was a gif of someone using an ultrasonic on a ring, and I was like, "Oh, you can use that on watches." And someone was like, "Can I just put the watch in it?"
The whole watch.
Like a plunk, and I was like, "No."
Yeah, years ago I saw somebody on some watch forum a long time ago. They were like, "Hey, my Omega," no, it was a Rolex Datejust. He said, "Well, my Rolex was really dirty, so I put it into the ultrasonic, the entire watch, and now it won't run, and there's fogging under the glass." And guys, I didn't say anything, but guys on there were like, because the vibration can force water through the seals. Yikes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
James Duffy, no shame.
Hello, Mr. James Duffy.
No shame in wearing a baby G even for men. I have a Pokemon baby G that I love. As for DS9, I can watch the characters Garrick and Goldicott for hours. I just had an idea because I read the question. I was thinking about it because people are starting to put their president signs in the yard, and I think we should get one that says Garrick Bashir 2020.
Oh, that'd be great. The problem is, though, Garrick would be the vice president because he's a behind-the-scenes guy.
Okay, fine.
God, Garrick
so funny.
Garrick is such a great character. Goldicott is great too, but Garrick is such a great character, and I was really, really, really hoping that he would make an appearance in Picard somehow. It would be one of the things that would have saved it if Garrick had showed up. You know, what are you gonna do? They haven't showed a single Cardassian yet, but Garrick is great.
Yep. Okay. AV Cuber. Hi, Spencer and Sabrina. I recently bought a Seiko Grand Quartz with a 4843 caliber. I haven't received it yet, but I hope it's complete. Are there any parts available for these?
Yes and no.
Haven't found a service manual other than the closest match 4823, so I can't look the parts numbers up.
So here's the thing. I actually went and looked that up. There's some cross-reference material that I found. The 48, yes, they all translate back and forth. Those movements are very, very similar. One of the most useful tools I have is to go to there's a parts house called Jules Burrell, and Jules Burrell still maintains their very old, out of date parts lists for every movement. It's cgi.julesburrell.com or read caliber or something, and you can access this old database, and you can put in, say, Seiko, you want to find your movement. So you go Seiko SEK with a space 4843, whatever. And you enter that, and it'll say, and it'll give you entries for the A and the B versions of that movement. I'm saying this because I just looked. And then if you click on those, it'll come up with the entire parts list. And then if you click on any of those parts, whatever it is, intermediary, date wheel, or the date corrector you asked me about, I clicked on that, and it shows all the movements that part fits. It's incredibly useful. The system is a little hit or miss, and the information is not complete. Sometimes you have to cut your searches different ways to get different answers. Sometimes connections are there that aren't shown, but it's a great resource to figure out where things connect to. Again, it's their old database. They don't sell any of that stuff anymore, but at the very least, you can get your parts numbers. The actual part number that you are looking for is 981680. Again, that is 981680. That is the part number you want, and it is common between your watch and the other movement that you were talking about. So you could take one from the other and put them together.
Generic something. I have one of these movements and I'm in the middle of cleaning and reassembling now. I pulled it out of what was supposed to be a 7S26 Seiko 5. I'm really impressed by how easy it is to work on. Oh my god, I'm yawning. I have several 7009s, but I'm going to upgrade one of them with the 7019 as soon as I get off my lazy butt and finish it.
Yeah, I mean, the 7019s are great movements. There's a reason that they became the 7S. They're a little crude, but in just like how they deal with the diafix on the calendar side, they have a plate with 2 jewels set into it, and then those get screwed in place. And they can have some alignment issues sometimes, whereas in the 7Ss later on, they don't do that. But they're great movements. They're fantastic. So go for it.
Sorry, I'm tired.
Do you need a break?
No.
Do you need snack time?
No, I just ate lunch.
Oh my god, I missed lunch.
Matt K04. I had my late father's IWC Cal 89 restored by IWC and still consider it his. I don't recall if the movement was serviced or replaced, but I know the crystal and winding stem were. For me, it's still his... Oh crap, I put them together wrong. His watch. A major factor in my view is that the work was done by IWC. If it was an independent, a movement repair versus replace would be my key point.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was talking earlier about my Rolex 1500. My Rolex 1500 was a one-owner watch, and in right around the year 2000, that owner sent it to the Rolex service center in Texas, and it got like official Rolex everything, all official Rolex paperwork and everything, and they replaced the crystal, and they did some other stuff, and they gave it a new bracelet, all Rolex, and so he got it back, and it had been significantly changed, but it was all genuine Rolex, still with the original owner. And I have the watch now, and I've serviced it, and I consider it to just be itself. There's service pieces, so it is what it is. What?
Nothing.
What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
Nobody said anything about whales.
Damn it!
Ha!
No, I'm remembering something. Okay, R. James, I clearly remember being in the car and hearing for the very first time Smells Like Teen Spirit. Well, we all know how well that did. I was thinking about, I can't remember which Nirvana song it was, but you were like, this song is exactly Gen X, because he was just complaining.
Wait, I have a new complaint.
Yes!
This person was writing back talking about when I was talking about my memory of the very first time I heard Blue Monday by New Order. Yeah, oh Kurt, man, my memory. I do remember one of the first times I ever heard, I was aware of Nirvana, is outside the record store. They had a big, huge thing on the wall that had been painted to look like that record covered for Nevermind. I don't really remember the first time I heard that song. However, I do remember the moment in the early 90s when I got into my work car and I turned on Live 105 in San Francisco, and the announcer, it was nothing. So I turned it on in the middle of a sentence and said, was found dead in his Seattle home this morning. And I'm like, that's it. Bye, Kurt. That's it. Because everybody knew that train was coming to the end of the line. Sure enough, he was.
Yeah.
Kobe. He was dead.
Yeah, really?
Yes, it's true.
I was old enough to remember when that happened. Hooray!
Yep, Kurt gone.
Okay. Julie Hill, stand up for better values. We need political sobriety, practicality, realism, and compassion. I agree with the compassion part. I'm so tired of everybody hating everybody else.
Yeah, I know.
It's really depressing.
And especially a lot of this, like the mask things and stuff. I mean, all we want is for people to not be sick. We want people to be able to go to the doctor and not go into bankruptcy and to not get ill and to think about their neighbors and their people around them. It's the central core belief of a lot of our societies. You gotta love your neighbor. And man, that kind of compassion and understanding instead of hatred and dismissal. So yes, we agree, Julie.
Joe Marinaccio.
Hi, Joe. Hey, Joe, what's your middle name?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm joking. You don't have to tell me your middle name.
I have a question for mail call. Should I keep my automatic watch in one of those winders, or is it better to let it stop running rather than let it run continuously? I know Tag says you should wind it regularly or use a winder so that the lubrication flows. Just wanted to know what was best for a vintage watch that will not get a lot of use.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of watch winders because I don't think a machine needs to run constantly. But that said, it should be run regularly. All of my mechanical watches, like I have watches that like this one, and I know the movement's really good, and I let it sit for too long in the darkness, and then you can tell that it takes a little bit of time for it to kind of...
Does the oil gunk up?
No, the oil doesn't gunk up. It just... Things move. Oil likes to move. It wicks in different places, but it's just... Machine likes to run. It doesn't want to be run constantly, but it's like... At least once a month, I should fire up all of my mechanicals and let them run for a good period of time. I don't believe in watch winders, like I said, because I don't think a machine wants to run constantly if it's not being used, but it should be run regularly. I do absolutely agree with that. Just like I could tell with my old Vespa, my 74 Vespa, is when I moved to the East Coast and I stopped riding it all the time. In fact, I started riding...
It's a good way to die.
Well, yeah, it is a good way to die. Trust me, Boston traffic. But I noticed that the longer the periods went between starts, the harder it was to start. The harder it was. Whereas back in San Francisco days, it was a one kicker, boom, and it would start right up. But so yeah, machines like to run, but not run all the time.
Okay.
Unless you're wearing it all the time, in which case then that's perfectly fine, and you just have to think about maintenance. What?
Well, no, you're like, they don't like running all the time, but you should wear it all
the time.
time.
No. If you're going to wear a watch all the time, that's fine. I mean, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's just you have to think about maintenance intervals. But a watch by itself, not doing anything, just running in a box on the wall, I'm like, that just seems, I don't know, sort of cruel. These things are alive in their own way.
Toy Story affected him.
I don't know. It's more about, oh gosh, what in the world is that? What in the world is that other Japanese religion? Shintoism. I don't know. The idea is there's degrees of life in nearly everything.
Okay.
Well, onward and upward.
Tanoki's. Thinking I might buy one and put an MM300 dial and handset in it.
He's talking about the Redune 6105 reissue. You know, it's interesting. I have in my stuff, I have a dial and handset from the limited edition first year 2000 reissue of this watch. So it's a 62. It's a Marine Master 300 style dial and handset, but in gold. And they're new old stock. If I didn't have to clip the dial feet to put it on a different movement, I would definitely do it. Unless I could get a hold. Ooh man, if I could get a hold of one of these movements, that'd be awesome. But I can't.
Okay. Jim Canatero.
Hi Jim.
If anyone dislikes this video, I will find you and I will kill you.
That was a video in the restoration video for doing a 7548 Pepsi for a gentleman who sent in a box of things to trade for hoping I could do one of his 7548s, and they were all pretty rough, and so I came up with another solution that I think worked, and it was an equitable trade and everything was cool. And this gentleman, people thought that it was a nice thing to do, which is nice, but people are going to dislike things, and that's what they happen. So, you know, unless you're out hunting, I wouldn't worry about trying to find anyone and kill them.
Oh, but I learned something. I don't know if it's true, but apparently if you go and dislike a video because you open the video, that means more of the algorithms are going to make more of those videos appear, and so they're going to keep getting haunted and tortured by your face.
Yeah. Oh, there's only one cat in here.
Oh yeah, someone asked where Milo was. Did you put that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he's probably outside.
Yeah, he is probably outside. Kraken's on the wing chair right now, sleeping. She's sleepy.
Mm-hmm. Joseph Stewart. What an inspiration. It is just so much fun watching an old warhorse Seiko come back to life. You have now inspired me to go on the lookout for a nice old Seiko diver, most likely a 7548 or 7002, and get it restored to its former glory. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't have discovered the true beauty of a 7548, which I fully intend to own one day when I find the right one. This is probably a stupid question. There are no stupid questions. But my SKX 009 has never threaded easily when screwing the crown down. I've had it for at least 5 years, and from the time I got it out of the box, it was its only issue. Other than that, I truly love it. It definitely screws down all the way, but it takes a few turns before it bites onto the thread, and I'm just worried that I could be doing some real damage to the crown tube by not getting it looked at. Does this sound like I may need a new crown? P.S. Sabrina, the baby G is bloody awesome, mate. Lots of love from Australia.
The way I deal with all crown, I have a video about it, but it doesn't matter. A screw down crown like this, this has a screw down crown, same deal. When I need to screw down a crown for one of these, okay, so now the crown is unscrewed. The way I deal with it, I always want to make sure that the last time I talked about this, I used the term mesh. The threads mesh together, and somebody took real exception to that. It's still the only way I can think of it. The threads, you're turning backwards, turning the crown backwards until you can feel it click in. You can feel the two threads boom, like this, and then they can start to integrate. And that's what I do. So I take the crown, I press it in, and I turn it backwards until I feel a click. Like there, boop, I just felt the click. Then I turn it forwards, because then you know that the two thread sets are ready to go together. That's what I do. So even if it feels kind of rough or sandy, if you're careful to do that every time and you never force it. If it doesn't feel like it's right, it's not right. So just back it off again and try it again and just wiggle it in and it'll go. And yes, it's common.
Gold Bond 11. Hi Spencer, I recently left my automatic watch in a hot car for a short time. The watch had gotten quite hot to the touch. Can harm be done?
It would have to get really, really hot for you to have things like deformation of plastic parts or something else like that. It could have an effect on the lubrication. It could make the lubrication outgas its volatile elements, and then it would sort of be reduced a little bit, like boiling down a pot of water. It depends how long it was and how hot it was. First thing though, is it behaving the same? Is the watch behaving as it should? And if so, then, but if you start noticing something weird, see if you know somebody who has a time grapher. That you can put the watch in a time grapher and you can see the numbers, because rather than guessing and hoping, you see the
What?
I didn't know if that was industrial equipment or like, that was really weird. I didn't know what I was looking at. Anyway, look at the numbers. The numbers will tell you what's going on. Numbers don't lie.
Joseph Volk. Hi, Spencer. If you had a budget of $1,000, what new Seiko dive watch would you recommend? I had a bad experience with my new Arnie, and Seiko Service Center replaced it under warranty. It's my daily wear watch now, and I would like to expand my small collection with a new Seiko.
I thought about this. Here's a picture of one watch. If I had $1,000 and somebody said you have to spend this, or I'm going to
What? Is somebody walking?
so people can walk.
Then
Do you
why
have
are
a problem with it?
staring? Why? Because she has little shorts on? Is that why you're scared?
No, it was the color of her bag. It's sort of a coral. People don't really use coral anymore. It used to be a really popular color, especially for like cars in the 50s. You used to see coral a lot. It's just not a color that really gets used so much anymore. It's unfortunate. It really is.
Can you answer the $1,000 question?
I need to look more at this watch, this baby Seiko, but that actually it's a nice looking watch. I'm sitting here thinking about it. It's a nice watch. I dig it. If I had to get one, I would probably get one of these, and I'm going to insert a photograph right here. Okay, so this is the Hodinkee page. So we see these watches here: 143, 145, 147, 149. I don't know. I'm kind of a sucker for the whole root beer thing. That looks pretty cool. This one the 149 seems to be the one that people really dig. The thing I enjoy the most about these, what I think Seiko did really right on these, is I love the handset. I'd actually been considering a handset like this, just generally, with sort of the center gabled top and the flat surfaces. I thought it looked really nice. Yeah, I'd probably... I don't know. Of course, the root beer is the only one that's on the strap. It doesn't have a bracelet. I don't know. The orange and the blue looks nice together. I have so many watches that are like this. It'd be nice to maybe get something a little different. Maybe this one, huh? What about this one? So it's got kind of the root beery brown thing going on. All silver and with the bracelet. So the SPB 145. If we didn't have a lot of unexpected medical bills, I would consider picking one of these up. But anyway, that answers my question. That's what I would do. One of these. No, coral was a beautiful color, and you would see it on a lot of these 50s cars, especially when you had two-tone and three-tone cars. And they had that coral, which wasn't a pink and it wasn't an orange. And when the paint was still in really nice original condition, you could see that color. You go to junkyards in the Northern California in the 90s, and it still had a lot of those old cars in there. I remember once there was one that had that color on it, and I found a rag in its trunk, and I just kind of spit shined a section of the old paint to take off the haze and this beautiful, rich color.
Watch.
Oh, okay. So that was an SPB. It's one of the new. There were 4 new. I guess they're limited edition reissues of the 62 MAS made by Seiko. SPB 143, SPB 145, SPB 147, SPB 149. I would probably get the SPB 147. It's kind of a root beer thing going on, which I actually kind of dig. That's probably what I would get. I love the handset. The handset's really cool. I just think they have a lot of throwback elements. They're modernized in a good way. I think they're attractive. Arizona Fine Time, I've been talking to that guy, and he has a few in stock. And sometimes if you talk to him, he might give you a little bit off. So I don't know if you contact.
Wow.
No, you never know. It never hurts to ask. Arizona Fine Time. If we weren't dealing with a medical bill, I would perhaps consider getting an SPB. But we live in a country where it's acceptable to profit from from medical care.
Yeah, they don't even take your insurance card before you get there.
Oh, we don't deal with that until we're all done.
Probably because people would be like, F you, bye.
Yeah, I'm not paying that. But anyway, if we hadn't had a shock this week, thankfully everything came out okay, perhaps I would buy one of those and then we could do a review on it.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
D Mitch 22. If it's acceptable. I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, he's talking about the 7548 watch that I built for that gentleman. I don't know. You never know if something's acceptable or not. I might think something is great, but watches are so personal, it might not be something that speaks to the person. So I never want to assume that I know what somebody else wants.
Great job. How could he not be happy with that? I can only go by my own watches that have turned blue, and remembering the first one.
I'm sorry. He's talking about the blue color of the insert on the rotating ring. Talking about whether it's Daini, whether those were made by Daini. Daini.
And remembering the first one that happened to, which had a lot of pool and salt water time. Not understanding why it was not fading to gray but turning blue. I had checked on the BBS service at the time.
Wow, BBS, huh?
What's that?
That's like pre-internet message board stuff, like really, really old school, where it was just text.
Oh. Yes, it was that long ago when the internet didn't exist as we know it, and we used Procom Plus or FTP clients instead of a browser to get information. It was on a Daini Seiko Sha job order that I read in their material latents to Suwa Seiko Sha, which had bezels, crowns, crystals, etc. on there. So with Daini feeding materials to Suwa, it made sense for the disparity between my fading bezels of ghosting or bluing.
Gosh, I wish I had a copy of that work order. A work order showing from Daini shipping to Suwa of crystals, bezels, inserts, casebacks, because we know they made casebacks, because you'll get a Suwa watch that has a caseback that says Daini on the inside. Man, I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been awesome. And we know they did it a lot with the 62 MASs, because you can have the dolphin caseback, or you can have the which are the typical one that people think of, or you can have the ones that are made by Daini that are the horseshoe. Wacky. Anyway, that's very cool. If you ever find that again, I can't imagine how you would, but man, I'd love to get a hold on that. What?
I'm waiting. Sam Cothran, a quick query. What do you think of tungsten carbide as a case material as used by Rado Diastar?
Rado, I don't know. Tungsten carbide, it's a really cool material. Extremely, extremely strong. Very, very hard to work or modify. Seiko did tungsten on a few watches. I actually owned one. It was a Seiko Credor, C-R-E-D-O-R. A little teeny tiny, super thin 9000 series movement watch. And the watch had an integrated bracelet, and the whole thing was tungsten carbide. And it had this like faintly goldish silver look to it, and this really kind of silky feel to the metal. It was really cool. The movement was completely destroyed. It had suffered a terrible, terrible, catastrophic battery leak, and I couldn't find parts for that thing anywhere. I still can't. I think they're really cool. I think it's a neat thing. Tungsten carbide is really tough. You have to be careful if you make rings out of this stuff, because it simply will not deform, and if you ever get it caught on anything, it can be even worse than a normal ring. But I don't know. I like tungsten carbide. I think it's cool. It's really, really, really strong.
Okay. Sunset. Wouldn't it be great if Seiko used the new Seiko 5KX case to reissue these watches with the quartz movement?
Do people really? I mean, more and more though, I don't know that people would buy it. Okay, folks out there, if Seiko came out with a nice quality quartz, a good quartz, not something cheap throwaway, but a good quality quartz, like one of the higher end, like King's Grand Seiko quartz movements that they make now with the 9Fs, if they made a diver with that kind of quartz, would you buy it?
I don't see why not.
I don't know. It's just it's a good question. I don't have an answer.
I would think because some people want it easier.
Right. So you've got all these 5KX variants now, all these different colors and styles that they make, including one that's entirely rose gold. Remember I showed you that. Mm-hmm. But would you buy one if it was quartz? Do you have any interest in a quartz one? So if you have an answer for that, put it down below and we'll talk about it next week, I guess.
Randy Allen. We're in a happy mood today.
I don't know. It was a nice watch to work on. I was working, I guess, I was doing a 6138 rebuild. And
oh, wow. Great video, well shot, and you showed everything. This is the longest rebuild I've seen from you. I don't know how you keep all those little parts straight. That thing had more springs than a box of mouse traps. It really looked good in the end, though. I've never seen one of those before. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, they're cool. The 6138s, they're called yachtsmen, but Seiko never called them that. There was an advertisement in some magazine for that plus a 6105 8000, and the magazine called it the Yachtsman. They're really nice. They're a beautiful case design, and they're really distinctive. They're cool. As for keeping the parts straight, man, I don't even know how many 6138s I've rebuilt in my life. I have no idea. So at a certain point, what seems completely weird and unfamiliar, like a giant mash of stuff, I know what every part is and what every screw is because I've done so many. So it only seems remarkable from the outside, just like every other magic trick.
Garrett Jansen. Great restoration, Spencer. I've always been wary of the 6130X movements because of the chronograph wheel and clutch, eyeing a 6139 7060 or a baby panda though. But I remember you saying that on the 7016 movements, you can't correct an off-center chronograph hand. Can you elaborate? Does this also apply to the 6130 blank movements?
Why don't I put a segment in here really quick, and I'll talk about that, okay? Okay. So, the way that this stuff works, the way these hands are set, Daini versus Seiko. Hey, how did that happen? I didn't do that. Did I do that? Very strange. Hang on. Okay, let's try that again. Seiko had two systems. Daini and Suwa came up with two systems. But one of the big deals when you're dealing with a 6138 or a 6139 is getting the hand to snap to zero every single time. There's a lot of force that goes into that reset. So what they do, this is the end of the pinion, okay? This is the so here's a chronograph wheel. Okay, that's a 6139 chronograph. So, Suwa. What they do, the tip of that pinion is keyed. It has flat sections on one side. The Suwa has a flat on one side, the Daini on two, I believe. What these do is these key to the tube on the hands. This tube right here. So it keys to that, so it holds it in one position. Now, how they do it differently is that you have, so here's Daini. This is a 7017. This hand, the tube is bent here. The way Daini did it is that the positioning of those flat sections on the pinion is always the same. It never changes. And so that's how they made them. So as a result, they also designed the hands to always be the same way. So any hand from any 7000 series Daini chronograph will fit onto any other 70 blank chronograph as well, because all the pinions are keyed the same way. But what that also means, of course, is that if it's off slightly because your tube is bent or the pinion is twisted, you're done. Versus doing Suwa 6130 blank. These, when they built them, what is that hair on there? Get off of there. It's because I was touching Kraken. Okay, so these, the pinions are, see if I can, the pinions on these are keyed any which way. When they build these things, it was however they could come up with it. And so there's no right way for these to be. They are whatever they are. So they make the hands, the replacement hands for these. The tubes are not keyed at all. They're not flat-sided at all. They're just a round tube. So when you set these hands on a 6139, you deform the tube, and the tube on that hand deforms to fit this. So you're basically creating it. It's a one-time use thing. Use it once and it's over. Because it's keyed to that particular position on that particular watch. That's the way that it goes. So it makes it a little easier to deal with Daini, because you can just swap things around, versus dealing with Suwa, which is just, they set it the first time and then that's it. And if you need to change the chronograph wheel, then you in theory you have to switch the hand too, which is unfortunate. You don't have to do that with Daini. Hopefully that was somehow useful. And that's the way it goes.
But wait, that was the name, not what he said.
Oh.
I own a few of the 56 series, the Lord Matic, the King Seiko, and the Grand Seiko, all of them insanely reliable nearly 50 years after they were made, easily my best watches in the collection.
Yeah, the 5600 Suwas, they're so underrated, and they get a real bad rap because they've got those date corrector wheels that are plastic that break. Vintage Time Australia makes a new metal wheel to replace that, and those watches, those movements are so worth looking into. They are exquisite quality, and they run rings around anything else at their price point. They're masterful designs. They're fantastic. I don't know. That's about it.
Next week's the first week of school, and we're doing online, so I have to be a 2nd grade and an 8th grade teacher, and take care of a 4-year-old.
It's true. This coming week too, I've been doing a lot of fiddling with Seiko 70s and 80s quartz movements, and I've made some interesting discoveries about some of Seiko's lesser known quartz families, like the 7813s and the 8223s and the 8229s, and so I really want to talk about them because there's a lot of buried quality out there that most people don't know about or don't think about. Movements that I was looking at them recently, and I'm like, this thing is awesome. It's really well made, but almost no one thinks about them. So I thought I'd have a nice little quartz video. So that should be coming up this week, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Can't do it tomorrow. Unless, of course, we can get that done tonight. We'll see. Okay, happy Friday, and it's pizza night, so make yourself some pizza. And that's always good. Remember, because you can go to your local supermarket and you should be able to have pre-made dough if you don't want to make your own dough. But making your own pizza is really, really, really simple. You know what I miss, actually, is when you used to make pizzas in the cast iron pan. You
make most of the pizza.
No, but for a while there, you were making them in the cast iron pans. I don't know. I just thought it was just so nice.
What are you looking at now?
What? I don't know. Butterflies? There's a grasshopper on the window?
There are no butterflies.
Yeah, there was a white one that went sideways.
Oh, whatever.
Anyway, my plan for supporting the bees, because our neighbor across the street, Tom, he has beehives. And so all through the spring and into the summer, I have a wildflower patch out front, and it's all coming to fruition with obedient plants and what kind of lavender?
Sea lavender.
Sea lavender and echinacea, and the bees are very happy.
But the grasshoppers ate the hollyhock.
Grasshoppers eat the hollyhock down to the stems.
If you walk in grass, there's thousands of grasshoppers going poof.
Everywhere. And poor Kraken, she can't catch them.
No.
Oh, well. All right, that's enough silliness. Okay, thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.